welcome to Two Guys Talking.
With Marcus and Kris.
Kris, what are you drinking tonight? What have you got?
Me, I'm just drinking some Arseholes. I'm still on the cider. I've changed it up to Arseholes. I got it the other day for a D&D game. And I just thought I'd keep rolling with it until the podcast.
Arseholes, you say?
Yeah, Arseholes.
I'm sorry, what?
Arseholes.
Good. You were telling me before the podcast about when people in your bar, being a high-end bar, order that and what you do with them.
Yeah, I kind of like play a game where if they order an Arseholes, whenever I take an order, I will always say it back. It's for my reassurance. I know I'm getting the order right if I do it that way.
You're just taking the piss, basically.
Yeah, so if anyone ever orders an Arseholes, I will reply with one arsehole cider coming up, one arsehole cider.
How are you spelling this? Because I'd never seen this before.
And when they react, they'll say, what? I'll go, Arseholes. And kind of mumble it a bit.
Just to see if you can get away with
Yeah.
it. But how do you spell it?
And it's Aspall.
Is it a Welsh cider?
Well, you know that already. Yeah. You were looking at it earlier as a Welsh cider.
Well, as for me, so I don't know, man. I just feel like I do drink a fair bit, and there's nothing wrong with that, but we record these on a Sunday evening and I've got work the next morning, so I don't want to be too groggy for the next day.
Yeah.
We're recording this podcast a bit earlier than normal, and I've got a selection of beers. I went through 4 of the fucking things last week. I had a couple of Tomcats, which I think are 8.5%, and a couple of Blue Moons at roughly, 5.5?
Yeah, like Blue Moon's a pretty standard wheat beer, but it's the Tomcat that was doing you in.
Oh man, and it was good. It was very smooth. It was like a stout, but yeah, it did do me in a little bit. I remember I joined a mate of mine on Discord straight after the podcast, and I don't even know what I was saying. It was coherent, but apparently it was hilarious. I don't know what I was saying.
I wish I had a recording of that, if I'm honest.
Same, man. So we've got a selection of beers. I'm gonna probably only drink 2 unless I feel like I want a third. All right. The first one is Vocation Heart and Soul. It's a gluten-free session IPA. All right. So I want to see how that one is. Moving on from that, okay, that takes us to a volume of 4.4%. After we've gone from that, we're going to go for the London Lager. This is a Meantime London Lager, right? 4.5%. Okay. So, we're stepping up by 0.1%. And then if I'm really struggling, I need to get more drink, then we're going to go straight for the Brooklyn's Defender IPA. This is a golden IPA. It's 5.5%. Yeah, boy. And then we're not going to... Right, this is the point where it breaks down. If I really want a 4th beer, okay, we've got an Elvis juice in the fridge. Okay, that fucker's like 7% or near that, right? I'm going to try and not get to that point because that will be a
step up.
That'll be a groggy Monday morning for me in work.
And this is why we've moved the podcast a bit earlier, is because Marcus went into work on Monday and just felt like shit. And we were going to change it to Saturday, but we came to the realization that if we did that, it would conflict massively with my future schedule. Obviously, working in the hospitality industry, Saturday night is my Monday. It's the busiest night of the week.
Oh,
and it's rare that I get a night off on a Saturday.
Got to tell you, man, I cannot wait for when, obviously, the bar's open, the club's open, because you and me on a Sunday, obviously, yeah, I know that I'm in work on Monday, but it's fine, right?
Yeah.
You get the 50% off. Well, maybe not 50%, but there's discounts for bar staff, because obviously your weekend is a Sunday, right?
Yeah, pretty much.
I'm looking forward to making the most
an
of
app that we can refer to for some industry discounts. They've got a good collection on there, and some are more... You check social media and they'll tell people directly, oh, by the way, if you're industry, we've got this in offer for you.
It makes Albert Schloss actually reasonable in price.
Yeah.
Which I think's great. And it's a great bar. Love it in there.
You don't even need the app for Albert Schloss. If you just take a pay slip to show that you work in the industry.
Oh, okay.
I think if you show the pay slip, they'll give you the discount.
Nice.
But Crazy Pedro's and Liars Club, they give you a keyring that you can use as well. Pedro's, you get pizza, shot, beer, a bit cheaper. And Liars, I believe you get a certain amount of discount. But they do a really nice beer, and I think it's the bottom branded beer that I like the most. So it's like $2.50 a pint.
That's pretty decent.
That's not because I'm being stingy. It is a genuinely nice beer. It surprises me.
So is that why? So your old flatmate used to work in the bar as well?
No, they were the floor staff. They were on a different team.
But they had a little pizza keychain thing.
Yeah, I've got one as well.
So is that not? Can you not just buy those? Is that like an inside kind of like cult? Oh, this proves that you can get the discount.
Yeah, pretty much. Like you have to go in and show them your payslip, and then they will give you the keychain.
Those keychains, God, man, they're worth that. That's like I don't know. It's like some kind of a holy grail. Like if you have the keychain, it's like an inside club. I love it.
Yeah, it pretty much is. It just saves. Like instead of going in every time and showing your payslip every time you go up to the bar, you can just show them the keychain. Be like, I've got the industry keychain. Please, can I have the industry discount? Sounds a bit stingy when you think about it.
It does a little bit, yeah.
But also, I'd like to talk about the fact that we're recording this a bit sooner. The vibe in the room is completely different because normally it's dark and we run a few tungsten lights around the flat to create a nice mood for the podcast. But there's still light coming in from outside and it's a completely different vibe. It just doesn't feel right. But,
not that it matters to you guys at home because you're listening and there's no actual visual thing. I'd like it to be a video podcast, man. We'll see how it goes, Maybe episode
and we'll
100.
just have the stage lights on us all the time.
Oh.
But no, as we go forward though, we'll just keep getting this more and more as it gets lighter. So obviously we started in the dead of winter.
Yeah.
And now we're moving up.
Exactly. And I feel like I need to mention something as well because if you go on our previous episodes, you'll notice in one of the descriptions there's an omission.
We've had to redact part of an episode. We've had to cut down an episode by about 10-15 minutes.
Oh yeah, man. But here's the thing. Those were the best 15 minutes. But of course it's gone now. It's gone.
Yeah.
So if you want to listen to that, you're going to have to
just ask us directly, essentially, and we might send you the file. But that brings me on to the topic of censorship, because I don't know about you, but I was pretty pissed when you told me that they want us to take down the podcast in general, but specifically that conversation.
It's funny, right? So it came up when my work colleagues discovered the podcast and they were like, some of the conversation in episode 2 is a bit risque. It's a bit, we're discussing the male habits, male needs, essentially at
length as well. It's
not
a quick conversation. It's like a 10-15 minute conversation, like I said.
And the problem with that is, where do you draw the line? So depending on where you work, it can be like a professional environment, but then when you go home, you can be yourself, or when you go home, the work comes with you. And it's a weird one because this podcast will be shit if we feel like we can't talk about certain things.
Yeah, I feel like if we have to censor the podcast for our employers, then that's just not right. And I think the thing I was saying to you was, you need to check your contract because they do not follow you outside of the office. And the thing they said to you was, if this was America, we would have just sacked you right off. Get out, you're done.
I don't think they would have. That's what they said. I don't think you're right. Not in the contract, and people I've spoken to, that's not right. But I understand where they're coming from. But I just think it's a bit shit. Like, if you can't be yourself anymore, but then let's say you're if you're a politician, right? You can't just go spouting whatever you want on social media. There's going to be backlash. You've got to be able to deal with that. Okay. I'm no politician. I'm not in any kind of limelight. I'm just an average guy,
But I can understand where they were coming from because
I think their issue was, if I say something and then in 10 years' time, after I've built up a bit of a career, hopefully, it could come back to haunt me. I think that's what they were saying.
The way I got it was, it's a bad stain on the company in a literal and figuratively sense.
If you listen to the episode before it was censored, you'll know. You know what I'm talking about. Oh, man.
Yeah, it sounds like they're trying to cover their own back because you are, for all intents and purposes, you're someone who is a little front facing in the company. You have a lot of interaction with the users, with the demographic.
Yeah, with the customers. Yeah, exactly. You know, and we interface and we're quite open. But the thing is, if you want to make a statement, if you want to, you know, you sometimes you've got to speak your mind. And yeah, there could be backlash. But how many people have made something of themselves because they are who they are? It's a bit different. But I'm talking like big YouTubers. You know, like KSI. Even people like Colin Furze. You remember Colin Furze?
I still watch his videos, man.
Mate, he started off with a fat suit, right, and a caravan, and it was
Uncle Fuzzies fast food.
Like, they'll all be doing it soon, I know it. And literally, he had this caravan, and there'd be a biker coming up next to him on the outside lane, and he'd be serving him beans just on his mask. You know, because no one wants to stop for the food. You know, you need to get going. You're on the journey.
Funny. Oh, it's one of my favourite videos.
Search for fast food. If you're a fan of Colin Furze, if you've ever heard of him, you probably haven't seen this, because this is some old shit, man. He used to get jet-propelled prams. He built a wall of death out of some old pallets. Like, you know, he took a convertible into a car wash before Top Gear.
Yeah, like, he's a classic British guy for what he does.
But he just does his own thing.
Yeah, and it's his personality that really sells it. He's been on YouTube for what, like 12 years at least?
Oh, I'd say 13. Yeah, well, these were like 2006, like the birth of YouTube.
I was basically watching these videos when I started high school, and I'm still watching them now. Because he makes such great content. But the censorship you get from employers can really ruin that.
Well, think about it. Colin Furze has sponsors now. He's actually quite successful. He's got loads of viewers, and he has sponsors. We've not got any sponsors for this podcast. And actually, where I work, we're currently pre-revenue. We've not got any income right now. Plans in the future to change that, but for now we haven't. So it's just it's just a bit of a weird one, you know.
But this brings me onto the divide. Like, where is the divide? Because for me, once you step out of the office, you can do whatever the fuck you like. And the thing that really tinged me about it was when they said, stop drinking beer.
That's the thing. Like, the whole vibe of this, right? We're Northerners, we're guys. I want to get a flavour of Manchester, right? I like the fact that we're trying different beers on each episode. And what I want to do when we can, after lockdown, I want to get people in. I want to have guests talk about their slice of life and what's going on, you know, and the beer represents the medium to congregate and to do that. And obviously there's no pubs as well.
And this is why I mentioned the store the other week, because the store has a great collection of niche beers. It's not stuff you're going to find down the local boozer.
I need to go down there, man. I mean, I used to travel past that place on the way to work and never went in. Like,
I would go in on a semi-regular basis, because it's in a good spot. In all fairness, it is in a fantastic spot. But I'd always be going in on a commute when I don't want beer. I want like a drink before I get on the train or something.
Yeah, exactly.
So this was the first time I went in specifically. I know you do niche, nice beers, and that's what I've come in for. I want to get some of these beers, and I'm going to drink them on the podcast, because it's different to what we would normally get.
Look, beer's beer, right? But there's actually some really interesting stuff out there. Like, I've got 3 beers in front of me that I've never had before, and there's so much more out there. It's not just about getting pissed. Like, beer has become gentrified. Would you agree?
Yes, I would, because people think that it can be a bad thing way too much.
That's the thing.
But it's something that brings people together.
Yeah.
Like, why do you go to uni? I think we had this conversation. Why do you go to uni? Is it
fucking bevs?
Yeah, you go out for the uni life. You go to get drunk with your mates. You go to have fun. It's probably 70% drinking, 10% hangover, 20% learning.
It just happens that the hangover and the learning coincide.
They do
quite a lot.
Yeah.
But it was great, man. And like I said, I'm so thankful that we're not at uni right now, because fuck that.
God, no.
Like, it's awful for them. I don't know why they go. Well, we've already discussed this. Like, why are they there?
You know what? Do you remember club nights? Do you remember any club nights from your uni?
What, like uni ran club nights where the uni would book out an entire venue? Yeah, man, we had quite a bit of that.
Not quite. Because for us, we had like a list of what you would do on a specific day. Okay. And this is basically like, I'm basically telling you where I went to uni now, because nowhere else has it. It's Edge Hill. It's in Ormskirk. Nice little town. Love that place.
A lot of old people.
And it started on a Monday with Mustard Mondays. which was like this little club upstairs. It's quite packed. I think I only went in a few times. And it was 50-50, to be fair. Then you had Alpine Tuesdays. And Alpine, while I was there, moved venues. And they got a bigger venue down the road, which was great. But Alpine was where you went on a Tuesday.
Mate, I think for us, Tuesday was made in the 90s. Or was that Thursday? Basically, it was at Fifth. It was a big picture of Will Smith's face on the flyer. And then, Jesus Christ, like the morning after, you'd find so many of those just like wafting around the street because of all the just litter.
Keep that in mind, because I've been to Fifth twice.
Really? Was that it?
I went once with you, and I was with our mate Barkley once.
Yeah.
It's an interesting place.
It's great, man.
We can circle back to it.
People are emotional, like the end of the night, when the lights come on and you've got... you see, here's the thing. Like there are certain tunes that come on that signify the end of the night. Champagne Supernova, Mr. Brightside, British classics.
I don't think it matters where you go. Mr. Brightside is an end of the night song. No matter what time the place closes, you could make a list of the times of clubs closing, and you could go into every one from the earliest closing to the finishing closing, and you could just listen to Mr. Brightside on repeat in each and every club right before they shut the doors.
So before lockdown, me and a mate of mine, we were hosting a party, and the guy was doing the music, and he put on Mr. Brightside at the beginning. I'm like, what the fuck are you doing? Just stop. I had to pull him aside and was like, mate, you can't be doing that. That's just not right. I
had to lecture him that Mr. Brightside was the end of the night song when everyone's already pissed.
Genuinely. But to be fair, the guy didn't drink anyway. He was just like, he just genuinely liked the song.
Fair enough.
But it's a cultural thing, right? It is the end of the night.
Yeah.
Just going back to like beer being gentrified. So the reason I say that is because, Brewdog, I was at, it was just over a year ago now, I was at a beer and cheese tasting.
Oh, I remember you telling me about this.
So you do
That's so weird.
Beer and wine and cheese is the traditional, right? Yeah. Just do it with some beer, get some lads around, right? You could literally, you've got stouts, your sessions, your pale ales, your lagers, you've got a good selection. You're getting darker as you go. And obviously the cheese gets stronger as you go as well. Really, really well done. The guy who ran Brewdog at the time, I believe he's still there, but I'm not sure. Was it Manchester Outpost? No. The Brewdog on... not Oxford Road, Central Manchester, Princess Street. Princess Street, yeah.
Where Great Northern is.
The original, yes, the original one. The guy who was there when I was there, who ran it, he just decided one night, you know what? I'm having some cheese, I'm having some beer. This tastes quite good. I'll put on an event and I'll do it. And that's sick.
Amazing.
It's sick. So, me and a mate went down and we got introduced to all these beers. Can't remember which ones they were because Brewdog's got that many beers. And plus, after the third, I was a bit smashed. I can't remember what I was drinking. But it was a great night. And it was not about, the guy even said it, it's not about just getting leathered. Beer, there's so many different ways to drink it, so many different ways to appreciate it. Yeah. I mean, like, for example, craft beer. Craft is just another way it means there's fucking soil floating in it, right? But there's actually quite a big range, It's not like that anymore.
You know what? I'll finish up my, very quickly, my uni nights. So,
yeah.
Alpine Tuesday, Social Wednesday, Alpine Thursday, and then Fuck It Fridays. Nothing on the weekend.
I feel like half of your bars were the same bar.
They were. But this brings me on to the Trooper beer I was telling you about earlier.
Yeah, man.
Now, I'm a big fan of Iron Maiden. I love the music. It's one of my go-tos when I want something on in the background. And Marcus didn't know that Iron Maiden were a British band.
I had no idea, man.
He thought they were American. Mm-hmm. So when he saw Trooper with a similar art style in our shop, he was like, what's this? Are they like taking the IP of a different company or something?
It's weird because it was the same font on the beer bottle as the band, but there was like a British vibe about it. It was a British flag, the Union Jack, and there was like, a whole thing. And I just thought it was a bit weird. Like, how often do you get a band, which I thought was American, like doing like a branded beer thing? And then you said that the two were linked. Yeah.
Like, if you don't know, Robinsons make Trooper beer. You can get it on tap. You can get it in bottles.
No, I didn't know
You can
that.
get it in a keg. It's a very popular beer, and it essentially was made by Bruce Dickinson, the lead vocalist of Iron Maiden.
Nice.
And they've been selling this for years now, and they do loads of special ones. But Trooper is the staple. And the reason that is one of the biggest songs from Iron Maiden is the song The Trooper.
Ah, right.
Really classic song. You know, I went to that Iron Maiden gig a few years ago.
I wish you went to a gig.
Yeah. A few years ago. And I went with Josh. And we went around a load of boys. And they'd all got in Trooper specially because they knew
That's sick.
everywhere was sold out.
Really?
We drank, like, not me and Josh, obviously, but the fan base of Iron Maiden drank the city out of Trooper Ale in a night.
I'm pretty sure you and Josh are the city fan base.
We definitely contributed.
Fucking hell. Well, no, it's interesting because I don't know that many fans of Iron Maiden, but I respect them like hugely for what they did. I've got a lot of respect for different bands, even though I don't listen to the music that much.
Yeah.
You know, it's a movement.
I feel like everyone's got the go-to genre and their go-to bands, but they can respect a much wider spectrum of music.
And then you've got the chats.
Yeah. Before we go on to that, for example, I love Iron Maiden, Metallica, AC/DC. These are like the things that I got into in high school. But I can still respect stuff like Disclosure, like
The Smiths.
Two Door Cinema Club, The Smiths.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Oasis. They're not a band that I like to listen to on a regular basis. But when we stick it on in the flat, I enjoy to just sit and listen to it. I've actually had it in my mind to stick the record on, so we might do that after the podcast.
That's the thing, because what inspired this podcast was we just chat for fucking ages about stupid shit, but we usually do it in this flat with music on in the background, but of course for the podcast.
And a couple of beers. Don't forget the beers.
Oh, there's quite a lot of it. No, and the rest. Shit. I mean, like, we've got a whole crate full. If you go to our Instagrams and you see the promo stuff we've done for this podcast, there is so much alcohol in this flat. A lot of it is for display purposes.
Yeah, like the bottles on the top shelf, most of them are empty. We have 2 vodka bottles that are not empty, but we refuse to open them because they're aesthetically pleasing as they are.
Now, I've got to ask, so those are Belvedere bottles, right? You know the effect that you get because you've got this building printed on the back of the bottle, but the front of the bottle is transparent, so you get like this cool magnified effect of the building in Poland, wherever it is. Would you get that effect if there was an empty bottle?
Not really, no. But also,
so if you drink that fucker, I'm gonna know. We're not drinking it.
But also, we serve Belvedere in work, and they,
as you should,
obviously over a year ago now, they sent out some boxes with a light sticking underneath.
Thank you for waiting for me to do that.
So while we were serving the vodka, tonic vodka, lemonade, whatever they want that night, you turn on the light in the speedwell, and every time you pick up the bottle, it's this nice glowing bottle. And that's great for upselling. Because like, oh, what's that drink? This is a Belvedere. You don't want our house, you want our premium.
You've got a table, there's 10 people on it, they're there to celebrate a birthday or an event. You've got sparklers strapped to the top of the bottle, there's a light underneath, it looks sick. Like, I worked in a bar briefly. This is how I discovered Belvedere, just because there's a big light under the bottle and the way that it's got a frosted glass. Like, it's actually, you know what, mate? Alcohol can be quite sophisticated and cultural.
You know what? What do you know about upselling?
Just overcharging some dweeb who doesn't know it's not worth that much.
Well, for example, if you're coming to a bar with me and you want to drink, order a spirit and a mixer with me, and I'll give you an example of an upsell.
Okay. What? So if I want to get like a rum and coke, what would you do?
All right, rum and coke. Would you like a spiced rum, a white rum, a dark rum? What kind of rum do you prefer?
Depends on the mood, but I'm gonna go this time. I'd like a spiced rum.
You'd like a spiced rum? Not a problem. We've got our Aneo spiced rum. This is our house, but we have a beautiful, very rarely found rum orange on the back shelf. Gives a completely different tinge to what you would normally have as a rum. I think you might enjoy that.
I can just imagine you at this point, right? You get a fucking orange that's been like marinated in like a barrel of rum. You just stick it in my mouth and you're like, here, suck on this. What would you mean? Like it's tinged with like an orange?
It's still spiced, but it's more orange flavored.
Okay.
So it's got that nice tangy feel that you would get from an orange.
Bit different.
Yeah.
Bit out of the ordinary.
It's not something you would normally order, but it's not something you're not coming here to get drunk. you come in here to enjoy yourself, and this is an enjoyable rum.
It's
and I
just
think you might like it.
Drunk comes as a byproduct. It's like, have you been to the Manchester Rhum Festival?
No, we were meant to go before the pandemic.
Yeah, man. I've been a couple of times. It's decent. Now, again, I can't remember all the different flavours because, of course, you're going around, you're sipping all these rums, you're shotting all these rums, and there's different ways of drinking rum. I just can't remember what rums I was drinking because there was that many. But again, like, it's quite a sophisticated thing. We've gone past the pirate days. There's just so many different ways of experiencing and enjoying different drinks. It's not all just about, you've got a collection of miniature bottles there. Like, there's quite a nice selection.
And I am not going to touch any of them. Most of them I have tried, but I'm not touching a single one of them.
My goal is to be friends with you until you die. And then I can, because there's one there that I bought for you. What is it? It's the
Innkeeper's Tipple.
Yeah, it's like I don't even know what it was, but it's like a little. It's made in Wales.
It's actually the largest bottle in there as well. Everything is a 50 milliliter bottle, but this one's 100 milliliters. But it's wider. It's not taller. It's wider.
It's wider. So I mean, like, it was a gift. If it didn't make the cut, then you'd have drank it, and I'd have been happy with that as well.
Pretty much straight away.
But I would like to know what it tastes like because it's something a bit interesting.
Exactly. It is one of those things. You want to know what it's like the Portaforte when we were talking about it last week.
Yeah.
It's something you want to try, but you don't want to take it out of the collection.
Yeah.
But my hope is in the future, this will be, I don't know, maybe it'll be worth something. It's like that wine bottle I've got in the box. It's like a half bottle. I think it's a 2011 vintage wine. And I just keep it in the box. I got it from work. They just said, good job today. Really proud of what you did. Really impressed.
Yeah.
Have this bottle that we're not selling anymore.
Nice.
They expect me to just go home and drink it, but I'm keeping hold of it.
Have you not drank any of it?
No, it's wine. It's got a cork. As soon as that bitch is open, you got to drink it.
Fair enough, man. Speaking of par 4, so I was speaking to a mate of mine recently, and he was talking about, he's a massive golf fan, right? And he was on about Tiger Woods' 2005 Masters chip. And I don't know if you've seen that shot.
I do not know what this is, no. Tell me more.
I'm not really into golf, right? 2005, this is what made Tiger Woods, okay? He's on the second cut, so in the rough grass, the tall grass, and he's got to get the ball, like, the par is 3, and this is his second shot. He's got to get the ball into, obviously, the hole. That's the whole point, right?
From the rough to the hole.
Yeah, exactly. And it's an impossible shot. How the hell are you going to do that? You're not going to get any height because you're in the tall grass. He chips it, and my fucking God, he puts a spin on it. It bends round, and you can hear the commentators that they're talking. He showed me the clip earlier. They're talking, and then there's a moment where everyone realizes, hang on a minute, he just got that on the green, and it's got a trajectory for the fucking hole, but it's going at like 0.2 of a mile an hour. It's going so slowly, and everyone's just going, no. And then you can hear the crowd, everyone's going mental. And then suddenly you get the ball gets right to the rim of the hole, and it stops, and everyone's like, ooh. And then there's a 2 second pause. There's a 2 second pause, and then dink, and the crowd goes mental. The commentator, have you ever seen anything like that? He got it in 2. He got it in 2 shots. The par was 3 from the rough.
I believe that's a birdie, isn't it?
I believe so. Yeah. I mean, maybe, I don't know. Maybe fact check that, but because I've not got a clue. My experience of golf goes as far as Wii Sports, but that was a fucking mental. And I bring that up because just the crowd went mental for it.
And golf is a quiet sport. You're meant to be relatively quiet in golf.
The thing is, my mate was saying, golf is very, very stiff right now. The commentary, they're not really giving any information. It'd be really cool if they just spiced it up a little bit. Put some passion in there. Fucking, you cut to a guy in his sweaty face and he's like trying to work out what's going on, and then the crowd goes mental. But speaking of which, like Tiger Woods.
Yeah, he survived a crash recently.
I only found out about this today. I had no idea.
I saw it earlier in the week. I was like, oh, Tiger Woods is in the news again. Seems like he's never out of the news, if you ask me.
Well, it seems like he might not be playing chess. Golf again. He might have to play chess.
The King's Gambit.
Well, that's the thing, because chess is a sat-down game, so maybe that's where he'll have to make his move.
I see what you did there.
Knight to e4.
I paused and just pointed at Marcus. Like,
I didn't even mean to make it. In fact, I think
that was a good one.
I think you realised I'd made that pun before I realised, But I mean, it's a real shame, man. There was some controversy with Tiger Woods a few years ago. I can't remember why. Something to do with a girl. I don't know do you remember anything about that?
Probably cheating on his wife, like all the news is when it comes to celebrities.
Yeah.
I'll tell you what.
You don't deserve to
not a topic
break his
I
legs,
have prepared for it in the slightest.
Mm.
Celebrity news is god awful, and we need to stop.
Yeah, we do need to stop. But then define celebrity.
Like, if a big name dies, I can understand. Like, there was a few years ago, we had a spate of deaths. It was really, really sad. Like, some of the biggest names in industry, whether it's movie, music, whatever, just all passed away in 1 year. And it was a massive blow to everyone.
Was that 2018 or 2019?
Earlier.
Was it?
It was like a peak. It kind of peaked this 1 year, and it's just been coming back down.
Yeah, man.
I'm surprised with the pandemic that we've not had as many celebrity deaths. The biggest problem was they were all aging celebrities.
Well, they're in gated communities anyway, so they're not really mixing with people, which probably helps. That's a massive generalization, but
yeah,
that'll help. But the reason why I ask you to define a celebrity is because, obviously with...
Right, I have one example for you that just came to mind. Kanye West and Kim Kardashian are getting divorced.
Yeah.
Now, I don't follow any of these two on any social media.
I don't give a fuck.
I don't like Kanye's music. I don't like Kim Kardashian in the slightest, or what she does on TV. But through news outlets like BBC, I've become aware of what they do in their private time, and the latest controversy surrounding them.
But you don't need to know. That's what you're saying, right?
Yeah. And the reason I know all this stuff is purely through headlines, purely through push notifications on my phone.
Well, the thing is, right, again, yeah, they're big names, but I mean, like, there's some big YouTubers that are probably talked about more than they are, right? So how do you, draw the line? You can get local celebrities, bigger celebrities. One thing I will say, though, I'm a fan of Kanye's music from the 2007 to 2013 kind of era, right?
Right.
Not so much recently, because he's gone a different path, and that's fair enough. But I'll tell you what this will do. When Kanye released his kind of like, not his early work, his kind of mid work, the golden era of Kanye, right?
Right.
He was going through quite a difficult time in his personal life in terms of relationships.
So what you're
We're
saying...
going to get a fucking banging album out of this, right? Kardashian,
Wow.
she's fucked off, right? Fuck her anyway. I cannot stand that whole family and what they're doing with, just making like they're
as
not
far
even,
as I'm aware,
no
the
talent,
only
they're doing
reason
nothing that's innovative.
they're famous is because they're famous.
Yeah,
It's like, how?
Yeah,
how?
They are famous for reasons that we had to censor in episode 2 of this podcast. Yeah?
Oh.
So fuck that, right? Literally and figuratively. And I want to get some good albums, man. Kanye, bless the guy. I wish him well. But if he is in a bad mental place, then I hope we can get some good... I sound really fucking selfish, but I want to get some good music out of him, because like we are due... something like My Beautiful Dark Twisted Fantasy, Yeezus. Those two albums, for very different reasons, are fucking brilliant. Whether they are listenable or not to some people, Yeezus is quite difficult to listen to, but it's beautiful in its own right. Okay, and you've got to respect. You don't listen to Oasis, but you respect them. So you've got to respect like that. What they can achieve.
It's like, haven't you got the record in the box?
Yeah, man.
Both of them, or just one?
Oh no, I've not got Yeezus. Because Yeezus was like a fuck you album. Literally, I don't know if it's on vinyl. I think he might have done a vinyl version recently, but when it came out on CD in 2013, this was whilst vinyl wasn't big anyway. Like the CD cover was literally just the disc in a clear plastic housing with a red sticker just hastily slapped on there. He didn't give a fuck.
Wow.
Like there was no album art. There was nothing. But to be fair, there's quite a lot of beauty in the art. It was something different.
Yeah.
And it was focused on the music. The artwork and the pictures don't matter. It's about the music. It just so happens that the first track wasn't really music. It was fucking It was like grunge. It was like some dirty
Jeez.
sawtooth chainsaw shit. But you know what? I don't know. It was fucking sick.
It's like I say, there can be beauty in simplicity. And I feel like people don't really see that much these days.
There's nothing simple about this, because halfway through, right, there's a lyric where Kanye's like, what is it now? He's talking to the listener and he's like, you know, oh, are you going to give this up? Let me show you what I can do before you give this up. In other words, before you stop listening to this album on the first track, let me show you what I can do. And it just hard cuts, extremely jarring. You've got a choir of kids singing choir songs. Yeah. Fucking beautiful production techniques. And then straight back to...
So he's challenging you to listen through. He doesn't give a
shit. He's like, I'm making the music I want to listen to. You can go whether you want to buy it or not, I don't give a fuck. And I can respect that.
It's the same in video production. Like when we were kids and you were making loads of YouTube videos, you were making the shit that you wanted to see. Because you essentially you figure other people want to see this. Why are we making this podcast? It's because we think people might enjoy listening to it.
Mate, I guarantee you I am the number one listener for this podcast. After you, because obviously you've got to listen to the edit and do all that, right? But I mean, this is just for my personal enjoyment. This is great, man. I'm enjoying having a day with you.
And the work here is Marcus sorts out the hardware and he sorts out the recording. Past that, it's all me. I do the sound edit, I make the videos, I do all the posting. All he has to do afterward is upload the videos, because our upload speed here is less than
0.6. Well, actually, at one point I did clock it at 2 megabit per second, right? Fucking 2 megabit. Like that's. I mean, compared to what I grew up with, I grew up with like 0.6 megabit.
Yeah,
I take the video to work and I upload it at work, where we get clocking near 100 megabit. So like, what would be 8 hours for you is like 10 minutes for me.
Yeah, it's crazy. We do not have a massive upload speed here.
And this is just down the road from where we live. Like, it's not far.
Yeah.
So you'd think.
I've looked into expanding it with our provider, but they do not have any packages by default available for that. So I feel like I'd have to send them a customer service message and speak to them directly and negotiate a price.
If it's just for you, though, I don't think like...
No, it's not worth it. While we're okay with the current system that we have, it's not worth spending more on the internet at home.
Man, when putting on a couple pairs of boots and... Couple pairs. We've got fucking 4 legs. When putting on some shoes and walking to the office where I can upload it is quicker than uploading it here, that's mental. I remember as a kid, like, doing YouTube videos with extremely bad internet, leaving the laptop on all night, doing an upload, to wake up the next morning to see an error from YouTube saying, ran into a stag or whatever. Please try again. It's like, fuck yeah, I've now got to leave it running all day during school.
Yeah, you want it. Like, if you're running your laptop all day, you want to turn it off and let it cool down.
Not just that, I'm thinking about the fucking... I mean, I'm an adult now. We've got to pay bills now. I'm actually considering what Mum had to go through when I was leaving my laptop running just to upload a video of Minecraft that no one watched anyway. But you know what's cool, though, as a kid? So I made loads of, like, gaming videos, and it was just me and my mates playing, like, Just Cause 2 multiplayer, Minecraft, Call of Duty, you know, Halo, random stuff, right? And... I just recorded our games and our commentary and just uploaded it on YouTube, and it served no purpose. No, I mean, some people found it entertaining. A few videos did extremely well, but there was no real purpose other than just to document just the fun we were having. And I didn't even care how many views I was getting. I wasn't planning on growing a brand or a channel. I just did it because it was fun. And I feel like I'm starting to lose that a little bit. Like, you know, I don't produce anything for myself other than this podcast. There's nothing really...
I was going to say, I think this is the opposite now, because this podcast is something that I want to do well. You know, I want to grow the podcast. We've got the plan for 1,000 listeners that we mentioned in the last episode. But from that, we want to grow it to a video podcast and start growing it into a much bigger thing than it is currently.
Once we get a studio, that's not the living room. But then I tell you something, actually. Having the studio as the living room, having the living room as a studio, as long as it sounds good, this room's got character, man. We've got the beers, we've got the vinyls, we've got the tungsten lamps, and we've got more beers in the fridge just over there.
Now, I had a problem last week with the edit. We don't know what it was, but the sound file that was given to me was very echoey.
Really?
Obviously, we got the second mic, we got the second arm, so we could increase the production value of the podcast.
But initially, it sounded like shit.
Yeah, this initial audio file that was sent to me was god awful.
I don't know what I did to it. I don't know. I think I just rendered it wrong. I don't know what's going on.
And you sent me another copy while you were in work, and that one sounded fantastic.
Yeah. I mean, we've already had some feedback, man. Like on the last podcast, it sounds just a bit better.
Yeah.
You know?
And between you sending me that file and me saying to you, this sounds like shit.
Yeah.
I was going around all the rooms trying to find somewhere that wasn't as echoey.
One thing that people say when they come here, right, which isn't often, COVID, you know, we've got noise dampening foam. So the flat structure, just so you know, you've got the front door, living room, kitchen behind the front door around the corner, and then you've got our bedrooms and the bathrooms and stuff down this corridor off the end of the living room. Now, down that corridor, we've got noise dampening foam. People always say, oh, why is this here? It just looks cool.
Yeah.
It just looks good. We could get more. We could expand that. We could have that trail out because that is just in the corridor.
Yeah.
If we bought more, we could have it trailing out into the, and then before you know it, this living room is a studio first, living room second.
We could also expand it so that it actually does the job it's designed for. The idea was, if we ever had people round, it would dampen the sound between the two rooms and the living room.
Exactly. But I mean, to be fair, normally we're both in the living room anyway when we've got people around. Like we don't really separate that much.
Hey,
we've got the same
nudge,
friends.
nudge. If we have people round, quotation marks.
Well, mate, honestly, soon we'll be allowed to, you know.
But it really...
I'm getting ready, man. I'm getting the stock. The fridge is going to get stocked up. Honestly, like, this is what life's about. You just got to enjoy it. And I can't wait to have people around.
Yeah.
One thing I wanted to mention, though, like, when you do these podcasts, we do upload clips on YouTube as well. And it's a great... You were saying before about your photography because you're keen to expand your photography. And this has given you a reason...
I like to do photography. I've been doing it for a couple of years, and I have like periods where I'm really into it and then periods where I fall out quite a bit. With the podcast, I realized that most of my photos are designed for Instagram. They're designed for that 5:4 aspect ratio. Whereas when you're creating a YouTube video, and I use my photography photos as a background for that, it just doesn't work. They're in the wrong aspect. So I'm now having to go out and take photos specifically for the podcast, so that when I make the graphics to do the YouTube video and all the YouTube clips,
because you've got to have a picture with it. You've got to have until we do a video podcast one day.
Oh yeah, obviously.
But you come out with some really sick stuff. Like, it is genuinely good. Where do you tend to go? Well, like, what do you look for when you're looking to take? Because anyone can't take photos. It takes a keen eye to, like, you know, spot.
Honestly, this is the problem I've been having. I've not had anything to look for. I've just been mooching around the city and seeing.
It's not stopped you.
And if I see something that I think looks nice, I take a picture of it. But recently, I've had the idea of creating a series called Massive Manchester.
All right. And
capturing how big the city is in the eyes of an individual.
Okay.
Because I remember one of the first times I came to the city was a school trip with my primary school. This is donkeys ago. And we went to Mosey. And I remember coming out of Mosey and going onto the main road where the coach was and seeing the Beetham Tower for the first time.
Yeah, you'll have never seen anything as tall as that.
It was massive. Like, obviously,
you were a kid as well. Everything's like... I couldn't see over the counter at the chip shop at this point.
But this is the difference.
That was big.
In London, you expect that. That's what you expect. So when I went to London as a kid, I was like,
big city.
This is normal for where I am right now. It's amazing, but this is normal. But when I came into Manchester and I see this big, massive skyscraper.
Big bastard tower, yeah.
Just standing there.
Because there was nothing else around it. I mean, we've got Deansgate now. Deansgate West, Deansgate North, South and East.
They hadn't even broken ground on that. This was before they even had planning permission.
Yeah, but because they did plan to build a lot of these skyscrapers much sooner, but there was a big... I don't know if it was like a 6, 10...
It's probably the financial crash.
It was, after that, there was a big, like a 10, 12-year period where just nothing happened, like no progress, got halted. They've obviously built them now, which is fucking sick. But it's really nice because you're able to go out and practice your hobby and give it some practical application.
Yeah.
There's one that you took recently that I really like.
Yeah.
That I want to get printed, and it's not the first one of yours that I've got printed. I've got a picture of that you took on Deansgate, actually, looking over towards Deansgate West.
No, that wasn't Deansgate. That was
It's
it's on the tram line from St. Peter's Square to Piccadilly Gardens.
Yeah,
and
but you can see.
It's square looking at Deansgate Square.
Yeah,
I've got two. My phone background is also looking at Deansgate Square from a different angle.
Because I've got that in my room and it's beautiful. Really good.
Yeah. And it's a nice black and white, and you can find it on my personal Instagram, which I'm not going to link yet.
just put it in the description or something. Yeah.
It's KP_Sutcliffe. That's where I post all my photography. I also post the teasers for the episodes, which you appear to not be doing, Marcus Brooks.
Well, I mean, with recent calamities, trying to separate my work from the podcast, just trying to take my time with it. But I mean, to be fair, like I've not got anything to promote with. Like you've got all the posts and you've got the pictures. But there's one you took recently. You stumbled across a filming set for Peaky Blinders.
Yeah. Peaky Blinders are filming in Castlefield, or they were filming in Castlefield. Whenever you listen to this, and I'd seen the post like a week earlier about it and just completely forgot about it. And it was a nice sunny day. I was like, I'm going to take a walk down to Castlefield because it is a lovely area. And part of it's just completely keyed off. Because obviously the filming for Peaky Blinders, they don't want people looking in.
They had a massive green screen, didn't they, as well?
They had a massive green screen. They had the construction fencing with bin bags so you couldn't see in and blocking the light, essentially. I walked past one guy, he had his camera on the ground under the fence looking into the construction site.
Oh, so this wasn't a guy filming.
Into the filming site.
Was he just like an onlooker trying to Yeah.
And you could see one of the security guards inside had stood in front of the camera to block the image with his leg. It's like, why are you trying to capture the filming? Everyone will be under NDAs. No one will be able to talk about it until the episodes are released.
Of course. And when it's released, you're going to get that same shot anyway. So you're not getting a new perspective.
Well, you are. You're getting a perspective as an onlooker.
You're getting someone's leg.
But yeah, as someone who has experienced the industry ever so slightly, it is the worst thing to have people trying to take pictures of your creation while
exactly.
trying to create something unique, something different, something interesting.
But there's something interesting in making a new creation on the back of someone else's creation.
And this is where my photo comes in. I went up to the Deansgate tram stop, and there's a car park connected to it for Manchester Central. And if you go down there, you could see the back end of the production site. You could kind of see all the effects that they were using.
There was a little bit of a fire, there was some sparks, and you can just about see a little bit of the green screen, right?
At one point, yeah.
Yeah.
But the biggest thing for this was they were running the smoke machine to create the effects. And the smoke was pouring over one of the viaducts for the mainline trains. And I thought, this looks amazing. This is a great photo because it's not every day you're having smoke pour over the train tracks like this. So I had to take the photo. And it was the golden hour period. So you had the nice yellow sky. You had
nice
sunset. Perfect. Yeah. It's a really nice photo. And I've been trying to do like color correction and everything on it to try and make it pop a bit more. But Marcus has said he prefers it without the color correction. He likes the nice cold feel you get from the viaducts.
I just think it's a nice contrast between the beautiful warm sky, the viaducts, the sparks and the fire and the effects that they're using. But you know what's really cool about it? It reminds me of, it's like Manchester is really good at this kind of old with the modern. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So you've got the wall of Castlefield, you've got obviously Beetham Tower and the new skyscrapers and all that kind of stuff. But what you captured, right? I don't know if I didn't see the shot of the train, but you've got a modern train traveling across this old brick bridge.
Yeah.
With the smoke in the background from the filming. Now, what the smoke looks like to me, it reminds me of old steam trains of the Victorian era. But then you've got an electric train, and you've obviously got the backdrop, and there's even a church steeple right in the back. Like, it draws your eye in. There's layers, man. There's a story there.
One thing that you could see from, like, just between where the walls split for the viaduct, you could see some of the effects they were using. You could see some fire being blown up.
Mm-hmm.
So every time I was taking a picture, I was trying to capture that fire in the background to give it a nice industrial effect.
Mm-hmm.
But you also pointed out something in the sky. And before we continue, since the sky is like a streak, I'd like to give a shout out to one of my mates, Jack Mac Gaming, for giving me a shout out on his Twitch stream.
You're shouting out because of a shout out. It's
Yeah.
like a shout outception.
Shoutception,
Shoutception.
if you like.
Okay.
And if you're into Warzone, give him a watch. It's pretty chilled. It'll get people in who are watching the stream.
What is
It's
the stream
only
on? Is he on YouTube, Twitch?
He's on Twitch.
Twitch.
He's
okay.
on Twitch. But it'll get people in, have a few games, have a nice laugh. There's a massive Liverpool supporter, so if you go in with that kind of topic,
I probably shouldn't have
you'll
said
be
that.
in on the next game.
If anyone from Manchester's listening to this, they are not going to that podcast now. No, sorry, they're not going to that live stream now because...
Let's just go there to give him a bit of grief. I mean, I won't be angry.
Give him some grief.
I won't be angry.
At least he's getting something out of
Yeah.
us, right? We're not a massive audience yet.
But you mentioned a nice streak in the sky, and we've been struggling to identify it.
So I was watching a video earlier on the space debris that's up there. So you've got all these satellites that are sent up. Sometimes these, decommissioned satellites end up in low Earth orbit, and they do actually get slowed down by thin atmosphere, which eventually brings them back down to Earth, and then you get, they burn up in the atmosphere, right? And it looks beautiful. It's obviously very, very clean, very efficient because the shit's not flying up in space, ripping up the ISS and all that shit. Which is a big problem, by the way. We do need to fix space debris because there's too much shit up there. And
Shout out to SpaceX bringing the boosters back to Earth.
100%, because if you've seen the film Gravity, that catastrophe at the beginning of that film is because of space debris. So we need to fix that. But anyway, Jax has got a bit of an idea as to how they're going to fix that. They want to take down so much every 5 years. Anyway, what you captured on that picture looked like a piece of essentially space debris that was coming back into orbit.
Yeah.
Coming back into the atmosphere, not orbit.
It kind of looks like a piece of space debris. And the funny thing is...
like a small comet, maybe,
I looked up if there was a meteor over Manchester recently. And there's an article from 6 days ago. And it's saying people's doorbell cams are capturing something coming into the atmosphere and burning up.
That's cool.
I'm like, that's really cool. But I took this picture during the day. Have I captured a meteorite no one's reported? Or a piece of whatever it is coming into the atmosphere?
The thing is, you thought it was a plane, but it would have had a bigger contrail behind it.
Yeah. That's the thing. The contrail doesn't match a plane's contrail because you'd see a really nice streak of white behind where the exhaust would be.
It depends on what kind of plane as well. I mean, you can look at a contrail and you can tell how many engines are there. Is it 2? Is it 4? That was just one stream. Okay. When it gets near the source, it tends to split. If there's a contrail that's happened maybe 10 minutes ago, it'll be like one cloud. But obviously,
but you can tell it's a contrail as well because it lingers.
Yeah. But it looks like it's coming from. Well, if it's coming from a plane, it looks like it's a one-engine plane, but those don't. We don't have one-engine planes.
No, we wouldn't have one-engine planes at that altitude. Definitely not.
So interesting, man. I think you might have captured something really cool.
Yeah, it's something I'm going to post this week on the Instagram. But the Instagram. But I'd be interested to know what people think. When you see it, just leave a comment and let me know.
Yeah, let me know let us know what you think.
Like I said earlier, at KP_Sutcliffe.
Mm-hmm.
That's where I'll be posting it. Let me know what you think.
SUTCLIFFE. Nice. It's good shit, man. Honestly, I want to get that printed, but I don't want to spend any money. So
we've already got 2 of the images printed. I've got one down from the canal, walking through the centre near Oxford Road, and obviously the one we were talking about earlier. And one's kind of like a sepia feel. One's pure black and white, and this one's
got a nice colour.
It's quite cold, but there is some fantastic colour in the sky that's quite warm and enlightening.
You see, man, we can be sophisticated on this podcast. We don't have to talk about male habits and shitting ourselves all the time. This is great. We're having a great time.
This is I feel like If you tell me you would like a picture framed and up in your room, it's something that I could put online and sell.
100%.
And that's encouraging.
100%,
It really
man.
is.
Do
It's
it.
really encouraging.
Really need to do it. Because it's good shit. And plus it means all I've got to pay for is the printing and I have to actually pay you for it. So it's even better.
Hey, if there is a website selling my prints, I will send you there instead.
Sounds, yeah, shit.
Give me the money.
Well, no, I'll just log onto a computer while you sleep and then just download it myself.
Yeah, you know the password for the laptop, don't you?
Exactly. So, but I mean, you know what? If things got, if you did well with it, and if there's a website, yeah, sure, I'd pay for it. Why not?
One thing I want to kind of progress to is subject photography. Because at the minute I do landscapes and cityscapes, but I've not done any subject photography.
It's COVID, man. Everyone's at home. There's no subjects. That's the problem.
True. But even if you walk down Market Street, it's as busy as a normal day. It's quite depressing when you think about it.
Really? Yep. You see, where I work, you're trying to contain the gas inside. You just can't do it.
I was holding it in for quite a while I was talking.
Yeah, but I was enjoying making you talk about a long fucking thing, and you're just there struggling.
Oh dear.
Just quickly, I've finished 2 beers, and I did say I only wanted to have 2 beers, but I mean, I don't know. We've still got some time.
You got to pop it, man. If you're out of beer, you got to pop it. And the problem is, if you hadn't said anything, it would have been fine. But now that you've said something, you've got to pop it.
Oh man!
Looking at the timeline.
Oh god damn!
For the recording,
I could have got away with that. Yeah, I don't need to open this.
There's like 4 minutes of the podcast left. Can you
damn
brought
it
it up?
Well, the issue is the volume has been getting like higher with each one. So now we're on to the Brooklyn Defender IPA. Now, Brooklyn is a lager that I only get when I'm at a bar like Mojo's and there's just fuck all else, right? And they don't even give you pints, they give you like a third. They've got a fancy name for that shit, I don't know.
You know what? I have 2 types of Arsehole cider here. And one is the draft cider, which is 5.5%, and the other's the premium cider, which is 6.8%. I keep thinking you're saying arsehole cider. Like,
what? I keep thinking you're saying arsehole cider.
No, I'm saying assholes. That'll be great for the audio listeners.
Fuck. So basically, what just happened there was poured it too quick. The head was coming up fast, right? Don't read into that. And essentially, I just had to chow down, and it nearly drowned me. But it's quite all right. Yeah, we're doing good, man. We're doing good. So yeah, no, Brooklyn's. It's I didn't know that he was doing IPAs.
You know what? It's something I didn't know either. I didn't even realize
it's an American brand, isn't it?
Yeah, because Brooklyn Lager is quite big in the UK. It's something that you can find on a pretty regular basis.
Like a little corner store.
Yeah, my first bar that I worked at sold it, and it was one of my favourite beers to go for when I wasn't looking at draft beer. But I have never seen Brooklyn IPA, and it's something I would like to try at some point.
Well, I'm pouring it into the glass. I'm taking it by the glass because the glass does help with the aeration and it does help with the flavour. I did say that beer can be sophisticated. I'm trying to make it sophisticated.
Yeah. Unlike Marcus, I tend to just drink from a bottle. But
aerate it. Warm it up. Grab it up.
It's like wine as well. Wine is meant to be drank from a glass, obviously. I've never drank wine from a bottle personally, but I know some people who will.
If you're going to drink out of a bottle, make sure you've got a brown paper bag. Preferably one that's from Five Guys. Hey. Having not bought the Five Guys yourself. Because if you're drinking it in that way, then clearly you've got a problem. And yeah, just enjoy it.
As I was saying, if you've ever been on a wine tasting session, they really emphasize aerating wine, aerating. I realise I'm going through the same point. I'm trying to talk about matching it with different types of foods. For example, if you have a fatty food, it will affect the flavour of the wine.
That's true.
And it's a really interesting thing to try.
Interesting.
And between that, you will need a palate cleanser because you don't want to try a fatty food, go straight onto something like fish.
One of the first times the first time I used a decanter with wine was with you. Went to your place of work, and obviously it's a restaurant first, bar second, but the bar is very good.
We sell a fantastic bottle of wine. I'm not going to say what it is because that will literally tell you where I work. However, It is quite a nice spicy wine from South America.
Okay.
And you get the decanter and you filter it and it aerates the wine. And it brings out such a fantastic flavour compared to if you just drink it normally.
How much was that wine, man?
It was a £50 bottle, standard.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. I mean, I'm sure you could get that in the supermarket sell it, or is it a special order?
It is. You could probably get it from like the Whiskey Exchange or something.
Okay.
One of those wholesale sellers online.
Shit me up every week, man. Fucking hell. Oh, man. Fucking up. Right, sorry. Continue.
But you don't typically find this wine in your local supermarket, in your local boozer, what have you. You might find it in something a bit more highbrow like Marks and Spencer's or Waitrose.
Mm-hmm.
But you won't find it in your local at all.
Of course. The reason I ask is because, like, if you're buying bottles in a bar, you're going to pay a premium for that shit, okay? I'm talking a bottle of Belvedere could cost you 70 quid or 95 quid, where you could just buy it for like 25 to 30 in Asda. Right?
All right, let me give you a solid example before I finish.
Okay.
Say this bottle of Arseholes, right?
I'm sorry, what? Arseholes.
It's on offer at our local store, and you can get 4 bottles for £7, which is a great offer. So obviously I buy 4 bottles, I keep them in the fridge, and I'll drink them through the week if I'm doing anything.
Yeah.
In work, a single bottle of Arseholes, which is a smaller size than the one that I am drinking right now, will cost you £5.50 for one.
Wow.
And that is a massive, massive markup.
Huge.
However, that is just the standard across the industry. If you buy it wholesale from a supermarket, it will be cheaper.
It's being served to you. It's premium glasses. It's an experience. You're paying for the whole thing.
Pretty much. That £5.50 isn't just the booze. You've got to remember it's the storage, the lighting, your fucking bog. It's paying to flush the toilet upstairs.
I'm sorry, wait. You're storing your beer in the bog?
No, we're storing it in a cellar, but...
To be fair, if you're short of a wine cooler and you want like an ice bucket,
the beer pays for us to flush the toilet. You know, there's a lot more cost involved while you're out and about.
I can just imagine, right? You're sat at your bar, right? And I don't know if there's anyone currently in your bar right now, like cleaning it and shit. And they're all just crossing their legs because it's like, right, guys, we've not had any beer sold in the last fucking, what is it, like 11 months? Okay, like we're crossing our legs, and as soon as a customer comes through here and buys a beer, I'm taking a fucking shit. Like, that can't be the situation.
You know what? Based on what happened the last lockdown, there's no one coming in to work during lockdown at all. There's nothing, nada. But once we are preparing to open the doors again, there is a massive cleaning session.
Open the floodgates.
Yeah, pretty much. Last time we opened after a prolonged lockdown, they had the whole team in cleaning all the windows outside, all the terrace, all the tables, everything at the bar, everything inside the restaurant. All the glasses got rewashed again. The ice machine got stripped, cleaned, put back together.
How long do you reckon it's been since people were in that building? I'm not talking about the odd director coming in just to check on stuff, nothing's been stolen. I mean like enough people in there to actually run stuff, like 3 or 4 people, like a small team. How long has it been since people have been in there?
It wouldn't surprise me if the managers have been in on a semi-regular basis. So
yeah,
obviously it's a nice place to work. It's a nice little workstation. Honestly, doing office tasks is quite enjoyable there because it's quite relaxed. And when we're not open, you can't just go sit on the terrace with a laptop and do your work. It's great. But they won't be there every day. It'll be once in a blue moon that they go down, make sure everything's okay, reset the alarm.
Yeah.
Stuff like that.
Because, of course, working in a bar, it's so important to keep that fucker clean. Because you get bar flies. Because, obviously, sticky, you've got liquid.
There's nothing there now. There's no food for the flies.
Oh, great. Awesome. Well, because I'm just imagining... If it's been left for so long, like you know, those things will find something to munch on. Like
it's crazy how hospitality venues attract flies. I don't know where they come from.
Wigan.
We are on top of our cleaning all the time, constantly. We deep clean the bar on a daily basis, yet we still have flies. It's not something that I would like to advertise.
Can I just say though, like, since I remember being a kid and playing outside, and just there being more flies. I feel like there's not as many flies in the UK right now.
I think that's something to do with living in the city.
Do you think so? Wouldn't it be more?
No, definitely. Because when I was with my first ex,
Your first ex?
yeah,
Okay.
she lived out of the city.
Says a lot. Yeah.
And she had some dogs. So if I was over, it would become our task to go and walk the dogs.
Your dog days are over, man. Your dog days are over.
Hey, we're trying to make this flat a bit more dog friendly because I want to get a nice little puppy that we can have.
I'd like that as well. That'd be nice, man. Maybe I'd get him on the podcast.
That might be a problem if
you're
you've got
back,
a
so what do
dog.
you think of this? Woof. Hey. Have a beer, man.
We've got to get a shelf up so we can move some of the bins about before we do that.
Oh, what, you want to elevate the bins?
Yeah, I want to move the recycling from where it is now because the recycling's on the floor.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah.
The main bin's probably all right, but I don't want the recycling on the floor if we've got a puppy. For sure, it'll try and munch on whatever's in there, and that'll be bad for it.
Even the plants, like I'm talking, like you've got that rose bush.
Yeah, I'll elevate the plants as well, and probably while we're recording, we'll have to put him in one of the rooms.
That sounds sounds good.
I think the idea of having a dog is making me try and keep the place so much cleaner than I normally would.
Mate, I've never had a pet before. It's exciting. I mean, I know we've got fish, but I mean, they don't count. I keep forgetting we've got fucking fish.
I got the fish with my first ex.
I've been killing them slowly.
Because we can... Yeah, I'm letting them die off.
It's fucking awful.
We originally got
it's
the
okay
fish.
When I say it, but you own them. I mean, you can't do that. Come on.
We originally got the fish because we couldn't have a pet and we wanted something. And I ended up inheriting the fish. and you know what? During that first period of, like, we broke up and I had a flat all to myself. I didn't have a flatmate or anything. We got the flat together and then she left and it was just me in the flat.
Yeah.
Mentally, that was reassuring. Because it's like, you're not alone. You've got the fish with you. This is quite a deep conversation I'm about to go in post-podcast. But
yeah,
that's how it felt. They were my anchor to sanity as opposed to being alone all the time. And obviously, you lived in Salford at the time.
Yeah, I'm not far away.
No, he wasn't far away. But it was still like, when you go home and you're just alone constantly, it is quite mentally draining.
Mate, I love that shit. I can't wait for you to fuck off and go back to work and then I can have the flat to myself. Like, I think it's so chill. People say to me, oh, when you're gonna, like, when I eventually buy a house, obviously I'll be alone because I'm a single guy and buying it on my own. And then people are like, oh, won't you be bored? It's like, no, I can't wait for you to all fuck off. Like,
but this is the difference. This is how you feel now. But when you're actually living alone and by yourself, it'll be a completely different effect. And you say you'll be glad I go to... I will be glad I go to work as well. But if we avoid each other due to our schedules after so long, you'll just be like, what the fuck is going on here?
I mean... Now, I just don't think so, honestly.
Before you continue, you talk to yourself a lot.
Yeah, man. There's no one better to talk to.
Exactly. I will call you out on it.
Have you listened to these podcasts?
I will call you out on it on a regular basis. You were doing it earlier, and I just shouted, Marcus, and you stopped.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, fuck. I thought I was just sitting... There's one thing. I was tending to my... Oh, shit. I've got this thing, and it holds my cup coasters in my bedroom, but it's shaped like a dog. I don't fucking know.
Yeah,
he was stood behind me for like a good 10 minutes.
No, it wasn't 10 minutes. He was looking at the similarity between his coasters, and he's got like a nice holder for it shaped like a dog. But it was looking at the coasters and comparing them.
Yeah, there's like little tiny dots on the coasters, and they were all like, they look random due to the manufacturing process, but they were all the exact same. Like, they've been manufactured to be like, they've been designed. Some fucker has put those dots in a specific place.
And I came in to speak with him, and I looked dead in his face. Bearing in mind, I came through a closed door, walked in, looked directly at what you were doing.
You were here.
And I just stopped dead and just stared. I was like...
Well, no, because what you're doing, you're experiencing Marcus in his natural habitat.
Yeah.
Like,
It's
don't you
freaky.
think it's interesting, right?
It's
to observe
freaky.
people when people think they're alone. How interesting is it to observe them and just to watch what they do? People watching it's great, man. You've seen the Instagram page influences in the wild, right?